Thank you for joining the Product Overview video for Client-Side Protection and Compliance, or CPC. Let's review the various capabilities of CPC directly within Akamai's Security Center. Start by navigating to the CPC dashboard to get a high-level overview of your client-side attack surface and script execution behaviors for the sensitive pages you have configured. The Open Event Groups widget provides insight into the number of event groups that have not yet been responded to, categorized by risk level. You can click within a box to dive further into particular events associated with a risk. The CVE widget, or Common Vulnerabilities and Exposures, provides details of any publicly identified weaknesses detected in scripts across your configured pages. A Suspicious Behaviors widget details any suspicious activity detected across scripts executing on your configured pages. You can click within a particular behavior to get additional information on the associated scripts. If there are any sensitive fields you need to review, they will be shown in this widget. To understand trends and changes on your configured pages, this widget provides insight on the volume of analyses by beacons, events, and scripts over time. Determine how trustworthy the domains where scripts are hosted, leveraging the Domain Intelligence widget. You can visualize by beacon count, script behavior, and reputation score. Third-party scripts are essential to adding enhanced functionality to your website, but they also bring supply chain risks. Our third-party vendor widget allows you to gain in-depth insight into the various third-party vendors being leveraged on your site, their domain score, the number of scripts associated with the vendor, if there are any CVEs, particular behaviors detected across the scripts with a particular vendor, the number or percent of beacons affected, as well as the percent of pages affected. The Event Group Overview widget provides insight into any event group trends over time, as well as the percent of affected beacons. Lastly, if you created any policy to govern particular script behaviors, the Rules widget will provide high-level insight into rules and events by type, as well as domain. Ultimately, the dashboard is your one-stop view into your client-side attack surface and allows you to easily manage your JavaScript execution behaviors. Now, the really cool thing about client-side protection and compliance is its ability to go in depth and get really granular about JavaScript execution behaviors on your sensitive pages. Directly within the Analysis option, you can choose Client-Side Intelligence and navigate to our Client-Side Intelligence tool. This allows you to see all of the JavaScripts being monitored and tracked on your sensitive pages. You can see the scripts over time, when they were first seen or last seen, their domain reputation, their script origin, whether or not they're first or third party, and whether or not they have any CVEs detected. The really cool thing is our filter option. By selecting a filter, you can navigate into very specific elements of your scripts. For example, if I wanted to analyze scripts with a particular behavior, say I wanted to understand scripts that were monitoring PII data, and I wanted to get a bit granular. I didn't want to just know the scripts that were monitoring PII data, but I also wanted to know specifically what scripts were monitoring credit card data. I would select that monitoring credit card data filter. I would apply that filter, and I would see all of the scripts across my sensitive pages that were monitoring credit card data. If I wanted to get even more granular, I could click into a particular script and analyze it in depth. I could see the number of affected pages, the script call chain, whether or not there were any supply chain dependencies. I could understand the behaviors that scripts were taking, such as accessing local storage, reading or writing cookies, monitoring credit card data, as well as exposing PII information in its URL. I noticed the vendor of that particular script, the beacons that it's affecting, and when that script was first or last seen. I can see its activity over time, as well as the heuristics and threats posed. I can see the domain reputation that is hosting the particular script, again, those behaviors, if there are any CVEs that were detected within these scripts, as well as if there were any policy violations. This is super helpful in trying to understand, what is a particular script doing at a granular level? What are its behaviors? What percent of beacons are affected, as well as the threats that the script might pose. This is really helpful in understanding whether or not you want this script to be executing on your site at all. Now, gaining visibility into your client-side attack surface and the various JavaScript execution behaviors of JavaScripts executing on your site is extremely important. But what is visibility without control? Our client-side protection console identifies high-risk or high-severity events and provides actionable alerts for your security teams to respond to. These alerts or events are categorized by informational, medium or low risk severity, as well as critical severity, such as sensitive data exfiltration. You can understand all of your open events, any events that have been mitigated, ignored, and tested, as well as events that have been monitored. You can click within an event to get additional information. Now let's dive into a critical data exfiltration alert. Here in the alert details, you can see that the description of the alert, including the types of sensitive data, the script accessed, the threat probability, the source and destination of that particular data exfiltration, when that script was first or last seen, the status of the event group, suspicious behaviors, affected sessions, sensitive fields sent over the network or values read, the source and destination, the destination domain details such as the reputation score of the domain hosting the script, the reach and impact and affected sessions over time, the number of affected pages, affected users by country, browser, and affected users by real user sessions, which is especially important. Lastly, you get particular details around the script itself, such as the script behavior chain and the script call chain dependencies. Now that you have all of this information, you can go ahead and choose an action. You can choose to deny outbound traffic, meaning to stop sending data to the domain immediately. You can deny access to the sensitive data, meaning you are blocking the source domain's access to sensitive data forms as you've configured or defined. You can mitigate elsewhere, meaning you've contained the script and you are using an outside tool to stop the malicious behavior. Or you can choose to ignore, meaning that you don't feel the event group is critical or high in risk and you are choosing to not respond or mitigate the suspicious activity. Lastly, if you've read the alert details but you want to keep the event group open, you can choose Mark as Unread. One of the most important elements of client-side protection and compliance is its application to PCI DSS v4, or the Payment Card Industry Data Security Standard. New JavaScript security requirements now require organizations processing payment cards online to understand all their JavaScript execution behaviors within the browser on their payment pages, as well as ensure their payment pages are protected against client-side attacks such as web skimming. Directly within the PCI client-side compliance dashboard, you can actively manage your compliance status as it relates to requirements 6.4.3 and 11.6.1. The dashboard is split into 4 widgets that are sub-requirements as a part of 6.4.3 and 11.6.1. Requirement 6.4.3 enforces the need for organizations to actively manage their JavaScript executing on their payment pages. As a sub-requirement of 6.4.3, you must maintain an inventory of all JavaScript executing on your payment pages, as well as written justification for why each script is necessary. Our script inventory management tool will allow you to actively manage your justifications across all JavaScript executing on your payment pages. This widget provides a high-level overview of scripts that have received written justification as well as scripts that lack justifications. You can visualize this across vendors known to Akamai, not known to Akamai, as well as your first-party scripts. At any point, you have a view into how well you're doing with respect to managing your justifications, as well as what justifications still remain. The script authorization element or widget is also a part of requirement 6.4.3. As a sub-requirement, organizations must implement a method to confirm that all JavaScript executing on payment pages is authorized to run. As a part of client-side protection and compliance, we consider any script that lacks justification unauthorized, and therefore all scripts that lack justification will show in this widget. You can click within each of the numbers to respond and immediately provide written justification for those scripts. The payment page protection widget addresses requirement 11.6.1, which requires organizations to deploy a change and tamper detection mechanism to detect unauthorized changes on payment pages and immediately respond to them. Client-side protection and compliance is constantly tracking all JavaScript behavior on payment pages to identify anomalies. It also detects when specific payment pages are no longer protected. Those alerts will appear in this widget. You can identify how many alerts you've received in the past year, as well as respond to active alerts directly by clicking into the numbers. The script integrity widget applies to requirement 6.4.3, which enforces the need for organizations to implement a method to assure the integrity of each script. By default, client-side protection and compliance is constantly analyzing your JavaScript execution behavior. For scripts executing on payment pages, you will receive dedicated alerts around suspicious behavior. Those alerts will also appear in this widget. You can view the total alerts you've received in the last 12 months, as well as click into the number to actively respond to any active alerts you may have. The client-side inventory management tool helps you comply with PCI DSS v4 requirement 6.4.3, which requires organizations to monitor, inventory, and track, as well as maintain written justification for all JavaScripts executing on payment pages. Within the client-side inventory management tool, you can view all JavaScript executing on your payment pages, as well as provide written justification for all JavaScript. You can visualize your JavaScript by vendors known to Akamai, vendors not known to Akamai, as well as your first-party scripts. You can view all of your JavaScript on your payment pages, or just those scripts that lack justifications. The rules element within the tool allows you to set particular justification rules. One of the coolest parts of the justification rules is leveraging the known vendor's default rule. This allows you to use the pre-built justifications for vendors that Akamai knows, meaning we know exactly what that script may be needed for. You can also override this by providing written justification that replaces the pre-built justification. In addition, you can also add rules for particular script URLs or domains. Let's use the domain example. In this case, I can choose that the domain matches a particular word. It can choose that it starts with or ends with. I'm going to go ahead and choose matches. I'm going to enter the domain, and then I'm going to apply the justification of demo. Once I apply that justification rule, it will stay and it will automatically update any domain that matches and ensure that that justification is applied to all of those domains. For this example, that domain was one of my first-party scripts. You can see that that script justification was applied. In the future, if any domain and script matches that particular rule setting, you will see that script justification applied automatically. This helps alleviate the process of actively managing auto-generated URLs, as well as having to provide written justifications for individual scripts. The rule setting is extremely helpful in reducing the burden of mass applying written justifications for all of your JavaScripts executing on payment pages. As I mentioned before, your client-side inventory status will show in your PCI dashboard as well. At any point, you can understand the amount of JavaScripts that lack justifications as well as are unauthorized. Be sure to always keep your justifications updated, as well as ensure that you are applying rules to help you with the process. Lastly, you can view all of your PCI DSS related alerts in the Client-Side Protection console under the PCI DSS Alerts tab. These alerts include data exfiltration, unauthorized scripts, as well as payment page tampering. You can click within a particular alert to learn more or respond immediately to that alert. These alerts are especially important for the auditing process, where you need to provide evidence that you are receiving alerts as a part of requirements 6.4.3 and 11.6.1 to ensure you are responded to any data exfiltration, any payment page tampering, and any unauthorized scripts on your payment pages. We hope you enjoyed this product overview video, and you can always go into Akamai Tech Docs to learn more. Remember, client-side protection and compliance provides best-in-class defense against client-side attacks, granular visibility into your client-side attack surface, as well as streamlined PCI DSS v4 compliance workflows. Thank you and enjoy!